So, welcome everyone. My name is Terrell Williams, and I serve as the Associate Director for Community Engagement here at MIT Sloan. And I want to welcome you all to the kickoff to our Community and Culture series. I firmly believe that through tonight's panel discussion, as well as other recruiting events you select to participate in, you will see our commitment to creating a more diverse and inclusive community. I will be monitoring tonight's Q&A chat feature, so feel free to drop your questions in there. I'll flag some of those for our panelists to answer a little bit later in our conversation. But before we begin, I do want to give a overview of our agenda for tonight. We'll start off with some degree program overview. Then we'll have the introduction of our moderator and our panelists for the evening. Then we'll have about a 40-minute panel discussion as well as open Q&A. And then I'll do some wrap up at the end of our conversation as pertains to our admissions process for this upcoming cycle. But I do want to start our conversation tonight with our mission. MIT Sloan is a mission-driven school, and we are seeking out students who align with the collaborative nature of our community. The desire for our students to make an impact is central to the MIT Sloan experience. I mentioned earlier the portfolio of programs. So here's a overview of our robust portfolio of programs. Our community includes and supports students across this entire portfolio and the larger MIT ecosystem. I will go left to right in terms of the order of our program. So we do offer our Master of Finance and Masters of Business Analytics program as early career or career launching options for college seniors and those with under 2 years of work experience. The MBA early program is not a program on its own, but it is more aligned with our early career audience than applicants directly applying to the MBA. To be considered for the MS program, only graduates and current students from partner international universities are eligible to apply. Our full-time 2-year traditional MBA program is our flagship program and our largest, welcoming in over 400 students annually. The evening program, which we'll probably talk about tonight as well, is our newest program designed for working professionals who want to remain employed and attend classes 2 evenings per week as a part of a cohort similar to our traditional MBA program. It's the same curriculum that you will follow as an MBA student with the foundational core, flexible electives, as well as action learning labs. And then we also offer 2 executive level degree programs geared towards mid to senior level managers. That is our Sloan Fellows 1-year MBA program, which is a fully immersive and on campus experience, and the Executive MBA, which is a 20-month program where students are required to work full time and come to campus 1 to 2 weekends a month. Students on average have about 14 to 16 years of work experience, and about 80% of those individuals have a director title or above. So if you fall within that bucket, you definitely should consider one of those executive level options. We also have a joint degree, which we'll kind of get into tonight as well, which is our Leaders for Global Operation, which allows you to earn an MBA and a Master of Science in Engineering in 24 months, specializing in one of 6 different engineering disciplines. So that was a mouthful of information, but now I want to pass it off to our moderator for the evening, who will introduce himself, give a little bit of background, as well as introduce our panelists for the evening. Teddy, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Teddy. I'm originally from Madagascar. I worked in finance before in Paris and Berlin, and I've been in the US for a year now at Sloan. This summer, I am doing consulting as a summer associate at Bain. If you have any questions related to that, don't hesitate. And yeah, I'm super happy to be here today. So I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves as well. So let's start with Alicia.
So first, let me make sure I'm off on mute. So my name is Alicia Siamigvi. So I was a part of the Sloan Fellows program. That's that 1-year executive MBA. I just graduated, so I'm Sloanie 2026. Before Sloan, I was working in oil and gas, focusing primarily on reliability and integrity within the refining and production organizations. After Sloan, I'm pivoting to be as a founder of a new venture in renewable energy. So I chose Sloan primarily because of that 1-year program. It was very valuable. And so I'll hand it back over to Teddy, and so we can move on to the other members of our team.
Thank you, Alicia. Next, let's go to Don.
Hey everyone, Don Okoye, LGL. So this is the dual degree program that Terrell mentioned. Graduated a couple years ago in 2024. I did my engineering degree in electrical engineering, computer science, with a focus in power systems and power electronics. Um, I'm currently a senior product consultant or a product manager at Caterpillar in the electric power division, working on microgrid controllers and deployments. So a lot of data center work going on right now at the Caterpillar side. Before Sloan LGO, I was in the semiconductor, um, semiconductor area and working at Texas Instruments and power electronics, doing various different engineering roles such as validation engineering, test engineering, application engineering. And the LGO experience was a way for me to gain some commercial experience and learn about, operations as well as product development and product management. And so great to be back and chatting with prospective students.
Perfect. Thank you, Don. How about Sydney?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney Johnson. I graduated from Sloan last year in 2025. Before coming to Sloan, I was actually in the PhD program in chemical engineering practice at MIT, and my research focused on industrial decarbonization and sort of energy systems analysis work. And basically, I really enjoyed my Sloan experience. I feel like I learned so much. Can't wait to discuss throughout this panel. Currently, I'm at NextEra Energy in Florida, and my role is a senior business rotational professional. So I'm in a business rotation program, and I'm currently serving as a AI chief of staff for our transmission business.
Perfect. Thank you. So as you can see, we have a very diverse panel here from many different programs. So my first question definitely is going to be, how did you leverage Sloan's global network and the broader MIT ecosystem? So maybe we can start with Sydney.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really astonishing how tight the Sloan network is. And I think one of my favorite experiences was doing the ASEAN lab. I think it was about, yeah, around last year. Sloan has a great partnership with Asia School of Business that's in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And I really enjoyed that learning lab because essentially we got to collaborate closely with some of the faculty, meet students, and also actually visit the Asia School of Business and help problem solve, network, and just learn more about the school, the culture, and some of the businesses that were coming out of that area. So I thought it was a great opportunity to obviously learn, but also collaborate with folks I probably wouldn't have if I didn't have that Sloan connection and that strong partnership. And I will also say anecdotally, one of my friends, I think, also was able to take advantage of the Sloan network, Joanne Barcelona, where I think she was able to, I guess, take on an internship that was out of her comfort zone, out of the country, but also easily connect with a Sloanie who was able to host her, show her around, and enjoy the area. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of great examples of the global network through Sloan.
Good. And maybe to follow up on that, if anyone within the panel who had a specific clear focus, industry focus, if you use particularly the Black community within Sloan for your research or for your professional projects in general, like how did that happen?
I guess to quickly follow up, I'll say that the Black Business Student Association, BBSA, was a great way to network and just connect with a bunch of great people. I think that in addition to that, the African Business Club and the conference was an amazing way to network and connect with Black professionals in and out of Sloan. But ultimately, community was a big part of my experience at Sloan, and I felt like it was able to grow through both those organizations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
I echo those sentiments. I had a chance to be an active member of BBSA as well as ABC. Um, especially attending the conferences and getting a chance to really, you know, network and interact with folks who are coming in from all over the world for the ABC conference, for example, and seeing not just current students, but also alum who come back to campus to either present at the conference or, maybe hold coffee sessions and give back to the community. It's a beautiful sight to see that network continue after graduation.
Yes, just to precise for everyone who doesn't know yet, so BBSA stands for Black Business Student Association, and ABC is the African Business Club. So those are the two clubs that are oriented towards the Black and African community, but also everyone who is interested generally with in those communities. Thank you, Don. My next question is going to be, what is one thing you wish you had known before applying to Sloan? Maybe I can pass it to Alicia.
So for all those who believe that, they're ready for that 1 year, 12-month MBA program, that the Sloan Fellows program, I will say a couple of things. One, it is a truly transformative experience. I cannot imagine what the rest of my life would have been like had I not chosen to do this and then been accepted. The one thing I would have liked to maybe knew beforehand was exactly how short those 12 months really are. I mean, it is, you understand it's going to be an intense program that, because you are coming in with so much experience, they're going to leverage that in order to kind of build on it in order to move it forward. But what you don't recognize is that, MIT as a whole is very focused on that mind and hand concept. And so so some of some of those experiential learning activities take time. And so coming in for your 12 months, you need to become, you need to be focused, but you're not quite, you may not be aware of how ruthless you have to prioritize. And the other thing to know is that the MIT community as a whole is a very welcoming organization. I took classes I have friends of mine who took classes in the urban planning area. I took a class in electrical engineering. There are people who were doing things across campus, participated in MISTI. The entire MIT community is open to you as a Sloan, as a Sloanie, right? You are an MIT student as well as in the School of Business. And so take advantage of all of the opportunities that are available. Reach out not just within Sloan, and again, the Sloan people are amazing, but the wider community as a whole has this wealth of opportunity that, if you reach out, they will actually reach back. So don't forget that, you're a part of the MIT community as well as.
Thank you, Alicia. I would even add, like, I'm part of the MBA community, so it's 2 years, and even 2 years feels very, very fast. So yeah, really support that. My next question to follow up on that is, can you name one example of how the collaborative culture supported you while you were at Sloan? I don't know, Sydney or Don, you can take that.
I would say just in terms of collaboration, it's such a key fundamental way how we run, just how the classroom is ran, how courses are ran. For example, in the Sloan core semester, which is the first semester of the 2 year Sloan or full-time MBA program, you're placed in different core teams with 5 or 6 other students. And a lot of your assignments are actually, facilitated or given to your entire core group. And so you're completing the assignments as a team and getting that collaboration, understanding, how you can leverage your strengths to help out your team or provide valuable input. And also to, for example, cover some of maybe your shortcomings and learn from other teammates and then work together to get an assignment completed is one of the first things that you learn and then, likely or hopefully get efficient at doing too throughout that first semester. And these lessons really carry on, throughout the rest of the program. And this is not something that's just unique to just a full-time MBA program. I've talked to various different students across MIT, across other Sloan programs, and heard similar sentiments from them as well too. And you see this in club events. So for example, I had the opportunity to participate in the energy hackathon for the MIT Energy Club. And, we were placed in a small team and we had to work together over a period of like 48 hours to come up with a solution for a climate issue that we're facing. And then we presented as a team and, came to a a working solution that we can all stand behind, which is just goes to show that that core principle of collaboration is something that's carried across the entire experience at MIT.
Good on. Does anyone would like to add anything on that? Otherwise, another question that I also have in mind is, what experiences during your time at Sloan were the most formative in forming relationships with your classmates and alumni? Were there some specific events, some specific clubs that you were part of that really helped you build meaningful relationships?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with that one because it kind of ties into what Don was saying about collaboration. That core semester felt so formative in terms of coming together, having to coordinate schedules, time, and you know, I think the core team that you're working with on different problem sets or different assignments, those are your people that you're leaning on professionally and also personally. I remember we'd be up late, studying for like an econ exam, but we're also talking through interview prep and how we want to reach out to folks and prepare to find internships or full-time roles. And some of those connections are just so strong that to this day I check in with different core team members, or when I'm in their city, I definitely want to stop by and connect with them just because I think, diamonds are formed under pressure, and some of those relationships, they really endure. And so I think that's a beautiful aspect of the process. And then I would also add that some of the C functions, like the BBSA C function, where you're bringing people together, just letting off steam, having fun, just kind of communing together, that I think also was a great way to chat with people who I maybe didn't have classes with at that time, but wanted to tap in and just see how folks were doing and just generally doing authentic check-ins. So I felt like the BBSAC function, I got to really meet more people and see people not only on the Sloan side, but MIT side, of course, folks from the Boston area.
Sounds good. Alicia, would you like to add anything in terms of community building?
Yeah, so so one of the things that that's interesting about the Sloan Fellows program is that it's focused not only on the growth of the individual. So you bring in these executives, and they're meant to level up on various aspects of their leadership and communication. But there's also an aspect of the person as well, personalization, building the human being. And so, you're not only interacting with your fellow students, you're also interacting with the significant others and the children, and you're creating, you're creating barbecues, you're going on special trips together, you're building these unique bonds that are done on purpose within the structure of the program. They're actually they're deliberate about it. But there are also opportunities that you take or you build or you create to build further bonds with the people that are in your cohort, your team, in order to get to know who they are as human beings. And I think the idea and the concept of bringing the whole person with you to Sloan is one of the things that I found to be probably the most surprising. You hear stories about business school. It was not. It was not what I expected in any way, shape, or form. But I think by that it was better. And so again, you are here to learn. You are here to become better. But you remember that it's all of you need to bring out in order to be that better leader, that principled leader. And that includes the aspects of you that are not always readily evident. Your family, your spouse, your significant other, your children.
Perfect. Don, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would, just again echo the same sentiments that Sydney and Alicia already mentioned here. Um, One experience that definitely comes to mind right now is getting a chance to go to the URM retreat, which was at least back in the day, a few years ago when I was at Sloan. This was typically in the fall semester, and it was an event thrown by BBSA, so the Black Business Student Association, ABC, African Business Club, as well as the HBC, Hispanic Business Club. And it just gave us a chance to kind of leave campus for a weekend and hang out in like a shared living space, like Airbnb. And we got a chance in 2023, we got a chance to go to Vermont. I think Sydney was also there as well too. And that was my first time meeting a lot of, first year students. Um, and also bonding again with my second year students after a long summer and getting a chance to just catch up with everyone and, just kind of build that community early on in the year, which was a really fun experience.
Yeah, that was so fun. It was a great like welcome to Sloan.
Sounds awesome. I'd just like to add, um, on my side, I think classes are also a very good way to meet new people. Alicia here is from another program. She's a Sloan Fellow, and I met her actually in a class, funnily, entrepreneurship class, and I think that's a good way to build relationships with people from really outside your core program. I think another question we have is, how does the Black and African American community at MIT interact with other communities that's within MIT, within Sloan, or within Boston and Cambridge in general? Were there some events that you took part of? Or did you feel like you were part of a community? How was your experience overall? Anyone who wants to start?
So I'll take that. You know, Identity is an important part of who you are. And it's interesting because, if you're coming in as someone who is maybe coming from, the African continent, coming from the Caribbean, coming from like, Central America, your identity may not, finding community is always probably the most important thing that you can do. What I found is that, and I'm going to be honest here, right? So there are not very many Negroes, walking around the Sloan campus. Like there's, I think what Teddy, there's like 15 or 20 of us, 30, out of a class of a few hundred. The group, and that's from essentially everyone who identifies, right? And no matter what part of the world you're from. You form identity, you find your people, but within Sloan itself, you're not looking at like an overwhelming number. And so if what you're looking for is a broad depth and breadth, you're now looking at going out into Harvard. Now, I will admit that I did not do a lot of things out in Boston. There you can, right? There's like the Africa Day, which was really the Africa Festival, which was really amazing. I did actually attend that. There are parties. I'm old. I'm tired. I'm not going down to Boston for nothing. Like, yeah, forget it. Like, I'm out. So, but if that is your thing, there are opportunities. There are things there are clubs. There's dancing. There are things that you can do. But it's not. Boston is not. It's not really that place. It's not New York. You're not looking at Atlanta. If you want community here, you're going to have to seek it out.
Yeah, I'll add to that and kind of echo it in some sense because first I was at MIT for my PhD, so my first 3 years. It was also during COVID, so the city was just kind of starting back up, and for me, I think I kind of stayed in the bubble quite a bit and built, Black community with folks that were in my department, across other MIT departments, and then at Sloan, connecting with the folks at Sloan and still kind of maintaining some of those ties. And it was nice that there were collaborative events between just the general Black Grad Student Association and BBSA or other clubs, which was a good way to kind of, you know, cross over and meet folks. But I will say that I think my boyfriend, who actually I met in Boston, like my third or fourth year, he kind of did make me realize, like, if you are inclined to get out of the MIT bubble, you're gonna have to cross the bridge. You need to, you know, check out Roxbury, Dorchester, Jamaica Plain, because there are vibrant Black communities, but it is tighter knit, and so it helps to know somebody. But I would also say just showing up, taking a friend to, you know, if you're here for the summer, go to the Juneteenth event, hang out in Franklin Park. If there's a rally or a museum exhibit or a Celtics game or something that piques your interest, go, and you will find Black people, and you might have to, and I think my boyfriend would also echo this, like it is a pretty tight knit community. You kind of have to bust in a little bit, but if you want it, you can find it there. There's, Haitian community, Cape Verdean community, and if looking for more West African folks, they're a little bit further out in Leominster, but there are folks you just might have to, expand a bit. And I think taking advantage of like different institutions, like Alicia said, and other folks that are around it in the area, you can do that, but you just have to be pretty intentional about the community.
And I'm curious because I know back in 2024, we still had Black graduation for all Black students across MIT. Is that still ongoing?
I'm not sure. I do think there are some affinity-based graduations. I would have to check whether the Black community still has their own our own graduation. I'm not sure. I haven't heard about it this year.
Okay. Well, I
I
hope
didn't,
that
I didn't, I
legacy
didn't
lives
hear about it
on.
when I graduated. I just graduated. So again, it's that intentionality. I'm sure that it's probably out there. But this oftentimes as Sloan, you've got a degree of separation, a little bit of a half a degree of separation. So you've got to you've got to put the effort in.
I would
Yeah,
just like
agree.
to add on my side, I felt like there is indeed, as you mentioned, it's limited, but there is some community. I've been to a couple of festivals, the Africa Dance festivals. I go to a dance class, like a Caribbean Afro class, like almost on a weekly basis. I recently went to the Cambridge Jazz Festival, which was mostly Black owned. So I do think there is
There's
community
and
indeed.
there's
We
Jerk
we
Fest
need to
over the
find
summer. Put all
exactly.
the Jamaicans in the crew. Hi, folks.
I think my next question is going to be to Alicia, who has an experience as a founder. Usually, Black innovators can struggle to access capital or to get support to scale. How did you navigate that? Did you use some slow network? Did you network with Black founders? How did you use your overall network to level those barriers?
So I haven't quite navigated through that particular morasses yet. And so it is true, even with the MIT stamp, it doesn't, it's not a magic wand, right? Folks are not going to come behind you and try to line up to do it, particularly because my company is in the field of impact. And so I'm doing a climate venture. And climate is not it's not quite the buzzword, in 2026, right? So if I had done this 2 years ago, maybe it would have been different. But now it's not there. So you do have to put in the effort. I'm choosing to do bootstrapping to a certain level in order to not do pre-seed, but essentially start as a seed round after getting clients. And so that's a choice that I made in order to allow my company to allow myself to be king in my company, to keep ownership. Because otherwise, you bring folks in too early, you dilute too fast. But it's not a magic wand. I will say that between MIT Solved, the PKG organization, the Priscilla King Gray is center focuses on social impact ventures. The work that we did at Martin Trust Center, the work that we do in D Lab, there are a number of like-minded entities within MIT that are willing to help you to support in order to go to the next level. But yeah, it's an issue that, it's an issue that continues to need to be solved. And I'm a Black woman, and so there's not a, for me, I happen to know that I'm going uphill. But that was a path that I chose, knowing the difficulties.
Yes, just to complete also to complement what Alicia mentioned in terms of opportunities, we also have the Africa Innovation Conference, which is a yearly conference. And I think this year, a new feature, a new event was to connect potential investors with potential founders within the African and Black community in general. So you can check it out, AIC, if you're interested in that topic generally. My next question is regarding the alumni network. How have you engaged with the alumni network generally, and particularly if you have left Sloan a couple of years now, like have you met friends? Have they become more like business partners? How did you navigate that? Anyone, Sydney or Dawn or Alicia?
Yeah, I can jump in really quickly here. Um, I've been, lucky, definitely honored to serve in the LGO URM alumni group. And we're not a large group, as you can imagine, but we have a handful of URM alums that are very active in, building that bridge between, again, the alumni base and current students, and then helping to work alongside Saga, which is the Sloan alumni affinity group, and throwing events on campus to really strengthen that URM community, and then provide a diverse alum perspective that can maybe help students out and just be as a guiding board or some sort of source of support. And for example, some of the events that we do on a yearly basis or an annual basis is during the fall semester, we do a Welcome to the Sloan Family event, which is on campus. And we try to invite an alumni back to campus to be our guest speaker who can speak on their career journey after Sloan and how they've been able to use the resources available to them from Sloan to kind of build enterprises or build businesses or, scale the corporate ladder. And we use that as a way to introduce the current, you know, again, ABC, BBC, BBSA, HBC student body to our alumni group. And so I could provide any more information on that, but it's definitely been an honor of mine to be able to serve on that board and be able to work with current students on building that connection between our alumni base and what's going on campus at any particular time.
Yeah, I'll say on the flip side of that, being someone who is transitioning from graduating, moving to a new area, starting at a new company, the Sloanies have been especially helpful with my transition, welcoming to the area, getting to know kind of what was I in for in terms of, starting a new role and, helping me out, providing advice. I'm thinking of Muhammad Abdallah or Mo Abdallah, who was really helpful for me in my transition at Nextera. And not only that, he organizes some of the MIT alumni events and creates a group chat at our job just to keep people engaged and making sure people stay connected. And even this weekend, I'm hosting him and his wife to come over just so we can not talk about work, but just catch up on life and have a good time. And so I think, to some extent for me, I think Sloan and MIT alumni have been really helpful to kind of lean on. And even now, what I'm thinking about, what does like a future career look like, or what some of the things I want to consider long term, I'm going to reach out to the MIT and Sloan network and connect with folks who are doing cool work that inspires me.
Sounds good. Next, I'd like to talk about academics. And by the way, we've moved to the Q&As that our attendants have posted, so feel free to continue to ask any questions in the chat. Did any of you feel limited in terms of academics? Or how did you choose classes that were not necessarily within, the the linear reason why you decided to do an MBA? Like, did you stay curious during your time at Sloan, and how did you just pick the right classes for the right time? Alicia, would you like to start?
Sure, I can give a bit of an anecdote. We had, again, this is a 12-month program. And so, again, time is limited. We had two folks from our cohort do a course over IAP on stand-up comedy. And they actually were really good. Like we went to we showed up to their set. I mean, it was amazing. We had somebody who did poker. There was folks who did who did sailing, soccer as a, and so ultimately the question is, let me turn this off. What kinds of things what kind of classes you want to take academically, but what kind of person do you want to be when you get out of this experience? I mean, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You get to come to MIT. It's MIT. There's so many opportunities here that you have. I took classes with folks who used to be the Secretary of Energy, who have multi-billion dollar companies, who've done AI, who've done this wide breadth and variety of experiences. But ultimately the question, so you have those to pull on, and definitely take advantage of those, because those people are also very approachable, right? They're human beings, and they're here because they want to interact with you. You have the opportunity to do classes at Harvard. Full disclosure, that's not the easiest thing in the world to do, just so you know. There are some caveats there that you'll have to kind of some hoops you'll have to navigate. But I mean, there's this wide breadth of experience. And so, yes, do the things that you came to focus on, but do not ignore the whole human that you are. And that you are humorous, and that you're active, and that maybe you're curious about something about quantum. We had a quantum group that where we went to one of the quantum labs that were local. You may be very interested in international travel. There are folks who do G Lab and do sustainability lab. Maybe sustainability is the thing that really grabs you. Maybe it's something to do with impact. So remember that you are a whole human being, and the classes are fantastic. And it's not just Sloan that has an opportunity. I did do one over in electrical engineering, I told you that, with Maria Illich, because I'm focused on renewable energy, and having resilient grids that will help to support our businesses and our communities in emerging markets. But to understand that, I need to understand how electricity works and how grids work. And so I did absolutely miserably in that class. I mean, I did not ever want to learn what an eigenvector was. There was about 2 weeks worth of that stuff, and I won't say I regret it, but I regret it. But it was fascinating, and it was amazing, and you opened your eyes to this wide breadth of things. So look out there. Remember, you're welcome throughout MIT. You're welcome at Harvard. There are those little niche things that you can do to build and grow. Take advantage of all.
Yeah, just to quickly add, and Alicia, I love that you took Maria's course. I had a chance to take it as well too, and she was my research advisor. And it's a lot. It definitely is a lot to take on, especially if you don't have the background. But that's brave of you, and I'm glad that you got through it. But yeah, just to quickly add on, yeah, and even I think it's so important as Alicia mentioned, is discover a little bit, understand and find things that you like to do. And if you don't want to take the course for credit, there's opportunities to also audit a course, and you can listen as a listener, so you don't get a grade if the professor allows for it. And you essentially just go to the lectures, you listen in on what's going on, and you have access to see some of the courses resources in your eCampus portal, and you can see what assignments are listed, and you can essentially just go through the process of learning without having to being assessed on it. And so there's those opportunities sometimes, which I took advantage of for an AI for entrepreneurship class. And you can do things similar to that.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add, I definitely agree. I think the curriculum can be um, pretty flexible to where it does feel like the world is your oyster, for better, for worse. Um, but I really enjoyed the flexibility and the fact that you have electives that can be out of department that also count towards, your credit goals and graduation. I definitely took advantage of that. I was in Portuguese, I was in GIS at the dust department. I was trying to take advantage as much as possible as well. And definitely echo Alicia and Don's statements that, it's pretty open. So, if you have something you're interested in, go for it.
Perfect, thank you. We have an interesting question. So outside of the academics, what is one thing about the Sloan or the Boston, let's say, Black or African community in general surprised you in a good way? Something that you've experienced that was positive and, that people don't show on the website or in the official materials. I don't know who can start. Don, Sydney. Yeah, Sydney.
Wait, can you repeat what the question was one more time?
Something positive that surprised you about the African or the Black community in general that you experienced at Sloan? What do you think? I do have a very interesting story, really nice story to tell. So when I arrived here, I arrived early and I did not have an apartment yet. And obviously, I reached out to the Africans I knew. And it just happened that a second year who didn't even know me just because we were, let's say, co-Black, co-Africans from Nigeria just gave me his apartment for free, obviously because he was interning somewhere else in New York, I guess, or something like that. So just to say that the community, even if it's small, if you reach out to people, they definitely help you.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, I mean, maybe it wasn't surprising. I think in general, prior to coming to Sloan, I was a little intimidated. I was like, oh, these are business people. And I wasn't sure exactly what the energy would be like, but everyone is so friendly and humble, and you can pretty much approach anyone. And so I was looking forward to connecting with the Black community as well. And I remember we even put together like a little event in the wintertime called like Hot Chocolate, where we got together and had like a little party in someone's apartment and we did like games and stuff. And it was just so fun. But yeah, no, I would say ultimately, yeah, folks are just really open to helping one another, looking out for one another. There's not many of us, so let's support each other and, take care of one another while we're here. So I felt like that was kind of the energy I got. I don't know if I was necessarily like super surprised, but I felt like it was a welcoming community.
Donna,
Yeah, and Lupe Fiasco is also, I believe he's still teaching a course on campus, and I know at least a handful of us, including, some of my classmates like Mo that Sydney mentioned and Daquan Julian, we would take some time to go visit his office and just, interact with them and kind of just like chop it up and just see what's going on. And then also there's other, really big names in entertainment and politics that come to MIT for obvious reasons. It attracts a lot of really interesting figures. I know, for example, Jadena, the like the Afrobeat slash rap artist, he came to the ABC conference in 2024. And there's also some other big names also who came through. So it's cool to see, you know, big Black figures come through and get a chance to interact with them.
sounds good. What could be one useful activity to do before applying to Sloan to solidify your application? What would be something you recommend? Yes, maybe Sydney. See you smiling.
Oh, I was smiling because I saw Don was about to unmute, but I'll give my take. I would say that I think apply as yourself, and if there's any sort of activity or project that has really piqued your interest that maybe you haven't explored yet, um, maybe take that risk or go for it or explore that opportunity so that, when you are applying, that you can share that you are interested, um, you are curious, you are willing to explore, do things maybe differently. So I would say if you have something in mind or something that's outside of work, even something that you want to tinker or explore with, maybe it's even just like a community. I think it's cool to kind of take those risks and work on something that's different or kind of could stand out in a
Good. Alicia?
Sorry, there's some hammering that started happening over here. I think that I think I'm gonna echo Sydney. I'm gonna say, be the most authentic version of you. Be very clear about your why. Um, Take the time to learn more about the school. Understand that while um, while this is an elite school, it is it is ranked one in the world at this point. Um, what they select for are people who are principled and motivated and who are looking to be change agents for good. And so if that is a part of your why, be clear about it and share it with the team and understand they're reading all of your applications. Um, they're looking through it because they're selecting for the MIT ethos, the Sloan ethos. And when you come, you'll recognize what that is. You may have seen like a common thread with the four of us who are on this panel. But in general, people who are working for the betterment of the world. And so if that's who you are, and that's what you stand for, put it in the application.
Thank you. I would just add, I would say instead of starting something new, I would actually go deeper in whatever you already do. I think to find your why and to have more impact in what you do. And I think that's definitely the kind of story we would like to hear generally. Another question is from someone who comes from the education and nonprofit sector. What are the different resources that Sloan provides for people who want to make a career pivot? Let's say people who want to go into consulting or who want to go into tech, but don't have let's say, the experience in that sector. Like, how can they navigate that at Sloan?
I can I can give my shot here. I didn't make a very hard pivot, but I did make a pivot in some sense. Coming from engineering and semiconductors, I pivoted to more so product and program management in different industry. And what was helpful for me was really working with the career development office, or as we call them, the CDO, and reaching out for, in some cases, one-on-one help. You can always schedule time with counselors to get, resume reviews, to go over application recruiting strategies, and also to learn, what clubs and what people in the Sloan network that you should reach out to learn more about a particular industry. And then from there, you can start building, the requisite or prerequisite skill set to start to make that pivot, start to have those coffee chats with various folks and learn, how to start making that step in that direction of where you're heading towards. And also it's also good to just, talk with various classmates that may be in a similar circle. I think like having like a recruiting buddy or like a group of people that can keep you accountable when you start to do the job search and make that career pivot is really helpful because, the job market is, for better or for worse, is still pretty tight right now. And a lot of times you can't do it alone. You're going to need other helpful resources, and your classmates can be a really great resource as well as a career development office and other resources out there. So don't be afraid to ask for help.
Thank you.
Can I
I Yep.
echo something that Don just said? So I think that we oftentimes look to folks who are professors, who are alumni. There is actually a wealth of knowledge within your cohort. So don't forget to talk to the folks who are who's sitting next to you in class about what they do and how they did it and what to look out for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll just also add to Lisi's point. I think also that the clubs, like there's different industry clubs as well. So if you're looking to like pivot into a different industry, sometimes you can tap into that network of like current Sloanies or people who've had experience in that industry, and they'll put on events. Sometimes it'll be a hackathon, it'll be conferences, and those are ways to kind of dip your toe and learn more about different industries. So connect with folks who are like-minded.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Next question is, how do you see Sloan's mission-driven focus translating to the work or the industry that you're in today? Maybe Alicia, I think you're very into that.
Yeah, like I said, I selected Sloan. Sloan was so MIT was the only school I applied for the MBA. It was that or bust, right? So and it was because of what MIT represents, not just as a school or not just the network, which is formidable, but who the people, who we are, who Sloanies are. And so, one of the things that I found, which was the pure happenstance, serendipity was amazing. There was a mixer between the executive MBAs and the Sloan Fellows in New York. And I found someone who was doing circular economy in a country that I plan to work in, who's building her business now and is a founder. And the resonance between what she's doing and what I want to do and what I'm working towards or what I'm building on right now is stunning. And I think that because at the core of what MIT is and what that program represents. Again, those principal leaders. Again, you'll find folks who are very focused and deliberate about doing those things, making those changes that you would like to see. So it's relatively easy to find a co-founder, a founding partner, a group of a group of people with whom you can have those interactions. And I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. I may have just rambled off there, Teddy. Rein me in if I've gone
No,
off the
no, you
rails.
do. No, you do.
So I think that it's a part of again, it's a part of the ethos. It's a part of what the school represents. And so because it selects for a certain type of person, you will often, if you're selected and you're here, you will typically find, you will tend to find the type of person that you are here as well. Because we are all interested in making the world better in the corporate world, in the founding world, in the social entrepreneurship space, and in just about every aspect and walk of life, no matter where you are in the world. There's Sloanies there who are striving to make it better. Medicine, engineering, we could keep going.
Anyone would like to add anything? Yeah, otherwise, I'm going to give back the floor to Terrell because we're reaching the end of our panel. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Teddy. I'm pretty sure we probably can go for another hour, but I don't want to be respectful of everyone's time for tonight. But this was a very fascinating conversation tonight, and I learned a lot, and a lot of things were in alignment with what we share within admissions in terms of being authentic in your journey, being able to leverage your peers within your cohort, and also being able to leverage the resources around you at MIT as a whole. So definitely thank you all for reiterating that. We definitely take that as support for what we're doing within the admission space. And when you go post MBA or post LGO or post Sloan Fellows, that it is working out for the good in your particular pathway.